let's watch this absolute masterclass as Dr. Frank Turek debates an atheist on God and his existence.
Define atheism as a lack of belief in God or whatever,
Sure.
then we're not really saying anything, because everything that doesn't have the capacity to believe anything could be called an atheist then.
A water bottle could also be called a vegan if you say it's something that doesn't eat animal parts. As far as that label is being applied, it's ineffective in that case. I would say atheism is related only to those things that have the capacity to believe in the first place.
We can argue over definitions all day long. When
Right.
I'm debating an atheist, whether it's Christopher Hitchens, Michael Shermer, Jeffrey Lauder, whoever it is,
Sure.
when we set up a debate, I say, let's debate this. What better explains reality, theism or atheism? Or if you want to call atheism materialism, whatever you want to call it.
But the point is, theism is not trying to explain reality.
Yes, we are.
No, that's not what it is doing. And I'm telling you, as an atheist, that's not what I'm doing. What I'm doing is, you are coming to me and you're saying, hey, God explains X, Y, and Z. And I'm saying, well, how do you know that? And why do you know that? And convince me of that.
Okay, let me finish my point, Scott. Okay?
Sure.
When two people come to debate on this issue, I'm going to say, when I look at reality around me, when I look at the creation of the universe, or the fact that the universe exists, the fine-tuning, the objective moral values, when I look at what appears to be design in life and where life came from, when I look at consciousness and free will and the laws of logic and our ability to reason, I think anybody coming onto a debate stage has to give causes for why those things exist.
No, they only have to show that your arguments aren't correct or fallacious.
No. When you frame the debate the way we frame it, what better explains reality? And reality includes all those things I just mentioned. Then I have the burden of proof to say, I think these things are best explained by theism. And the atheist has the burden of proof to say, okay, I see those things exist. Here's my explanation for why they exist.
Well, then I don't believe any atheist that I've ever seen debate with you has ever accepted a debate under that kind of framework. The framework is never that
Scott,
atheism is a better explanation. It's that your theism is not a sufficient explanation.
Well, you'll have to talk to them, Scott, because they agreed every time. Christopher Hitchens.
You guys should check out the videos on YouTube.
Yes,
that's not
Michael
what happened.
Shermer.
No,
Oh, okay, just so you know. What did you say, Scott? I was lying?
Yes. He said you were lying.
If you can't take the heat, get out the kitchen. Guys, if you're enjoying this type of content, please hit the subscribe button. Let's go.
Okay, well, those were the titles of the debates. And the reason we do that, ladies and gentlemen, is because let me put it this way, it's easy to smell a rotten egg, it's hard to lay a better one. Okay? So if someone has a position over there that I think is wrong, I can throw eggs at it and I can try and diffuse and say that's a bad argument, that's a bad argument. But I then still have the burden of proof to say, well, what is my explanation for the way things are the way they are? Let me give you one last illustration, because this is an important point that Scott brought up. If I'm a detective and atheist Michael Shermer is a detective and we come on a dead body and I say, okay, I'm looking at all the evidence here, I think candidate X did it. And Michael Shermer says, no, candidate X did it, or didn't do it. That's the wrong, he's not the murderer. And I say, okay, who is the murderer then? And he says, well, I just lack a belief that your guy's the murderer. Is he a good detective? No. Shooting down my suspect isn't enough. If he's a good detective, he has to give reasons as to why candidate Y is the murderer. Not just to say that your guy is the wrong guy. That's
Man like Frank Turek, Dr. Frank Turek, absolutely cooked in this clip. You know what? Just listen to this. Just made me smile. I think it's so important to understand your position when you're defending the faith. And we're going to break down how Dr. Frank, who's got a wealth of experience, was able to navigate this debate in such a humble, systematic, and powerful way. So here's a problem. The core question: who explains reality better, the theist or the atheist? The one who believes in God or the one who doesn't believe in God? The atheist doesn't believe in God, and the claim is a lack of belief. Now, that claim may sound humble, but really it's just a cop out, because if the atheist is just lacking belief, then technically, just like Frank Turek explained, my T-Mug is an atheist too. He doesn't believe in God either. You can't build a worldview on something that doesn't actually claim anything. So how do we respond? So the Christian's response should be, atheism isn't neutral. The moment someone says, I don't believe in God, they're making a claim about reality. They're making a truth claim that no God exists, or at least there's no good reason to believe in one. That's not nothing. That's a worldview. And worldviews need reasoning. Worldviews need evidence as to why you've chose that position. Atheism doesn't have to explain reality. This is the core problem, and this is the problem and the dilemma that the atheist fell into before he stormed off and lost his temper. Because this is like saying, I don't need to explain why the universe exists, I just don't think God did it. So if you don't think God created the universe, what is your explanation for the existence of these great things? If you're rejecting Christianity, or you're rejecting the biblical view of how the world came to be, then what is your explanation? You're still left with the big question. And how do you explain everything? Our response: reality demands an explanation for the universe, for morality, for design, for consciousness, logic, and free will. You can't just point at Christianity and say, that's wrong. You have to offer a better solution. And that's the exact point that Dr. Frank was pulling out of. If you're going to have an opposing view of why you don't believe in the biblical and theological Christian perspective, then pose an argument and explain why your argument and your position is valid. And I love the detective analogy that Dr. Frank had explained in the video. Just like a detective who says your suspect didn't do it, but never names who did. It's not investigation, it's avoidance. Theism explains reality better. The Christian apologist, who is a theist, knows and can recognize the existence of the universe, cosmology, fine tuning and design, why life is even possible, objective moral values, why we call things truly right or wrong, consciousness, why we think and reason, logic and free will, why truth matters at all. And here's the power move. Rather than letting the atheist define terms, just like Dr. Frank did, the apologist now reframes the debate. Quoted here, Frank says, let's not just shoot holes in each other's ideas, let's see who gives the better explanation of reality itself. And the atheist was unable to do that. And when we reframe questions, it helps us to make a powerful shift. It puts both sides on equal footing. So when you're talking to somebody who isn't a believer, when you're communicating with somebody who is an atheist, we have to learn to ask better questions to really understand not only where they're coming from, but also to navigate the conversation to bring out the correct truth. And this is a crazy statement. Dr. Frank says, it's easy to smell a rotten egg, but hard to lay a better one. In debates, atheists often throw eggs at Christianity, mocking, nitpicking, dismissing. But Christianity doesn't crumble. Just because someone points out an unanswered question, if you reject God, you still have to lay a better egg, give a more satisfying explanation for reality. So if you're going to reject God, provide me with a better reality and explanation as to why you're in a position of rejection. And I want to break these key things down when we are defending the faith. Don't get stuck into word games. If someone says atheism is just a lack of belief, I want you to smile and ask them, okay, but what do you believe about how everything got there? Shift from what's wrong with Christianity to what best explains reality. Christianity isn't true because it's comforting, it's true because it matches reality. When we start asking better questions and we model the behavior of Jesus, when Jesus spoke, he asked such great questions, and it was a part of his tactic to lead people to truth. And in closing, I'll say this: atheism says, I don't believe in God. And that's fair enough. But that's not the end of the conversation. It's the beginning of one. Because if you remove God from the picture, you'd better have a jolly good explanation for why anything else exists. Guys, thank you for tuning in. Please like and subscribe. It helps the channel to grow. It helps my visibility on YouTube. And let's see your comments in the comment section.